Hello, and thank you for having me back again. Now I'm there, I can hear it. Is it all in my head? Is it all in my head? That's what we're going to talk about today. But first I want to say thank you again for having me back. It's always an honor and a privilege to be here. And it's, as I say every time, it's not something I take lightly. Giving me a few minutes of your time on a Sunday morning, it's always my goal to send you home with something. It's also my goal to push you a little bit. So thank you for letting me do that as well, and to you and tuning in at home. So thank you. And we'll probably end up shedding garments as we go here. We've reached that time of year where I don't know how to dress in the morning, you know. This morning I felt like I needed all the clothes on, and now it's feeling less so. Anyway, my last time I was here, I talked about telling the truth. The name of the talk was To Tell the Truth. And the takeaway line that I hope you went home with ringing in your head was, tell the truth, tell the truth, tell the truth, which is a line from Cheryl Louise Muller in the front end of a Elizabeth Gilbert book. And the reason I was talking about that was because I think telling the truth is the gap between living the life you were born to live or not. And I used, as I am fond of doing, I used my little friend, the hula hoop, to direct our attention to our purview, to where we actually have control, where we actually have power in life. And I like to use this as a physical representation of basically that area. It's basically the area that lives inside of a hula hoop. That's where you have control. That's where you have power. And that's where you're being called to tell the truth to yourself and to the people you love in your life. And I'm just kind of reviewing this real quick because I want to build on this today as we dig into, is it all in my head? One of the things I talked about last time is that when I am not telling the truth, I am fundamentally not living the life I was born to live. When I am not telling the truth, whether because I'm trying to live up to what I think you want me to be, or culture wants me to be, or my boss wants me to be, or whatever else, I'm fundamentally living in somebody else's circle. And I'm going to play with the camera now because this is where the line ends. I'm fundamentally no longer visible. Okay? When I am not telling the truth, and I'm fundamentally committing sort of a slow motion sabotage of our relationship. Because I'm sooner or later going to run into, I'm taking all the energy from you trying to be somebody you want me to be, rather than living into my truth, my power, where I really am mighty. And I posited the notion that the best way for us to dial into what does that truth feel like, because that's the trick. Okay, I want to tell the truth, but how do I know it when I see it in small things and large? Is that if you create quiet, if you create space in your life, be that for meditation or whatever you like, in small increments or large ones, that when you are in that quiet, you give that truth the opportunity to be heard. And I think you give that truth the opportunity to be heard, not so much just because it goes, I'm truth, but you get to hear it because that quiet reveals noise. That quiet reveals dissonance. That quiet reveals contrast. As we sit there in that meditation, things come up. And noise, implicit in noise, is the notion that there's such a thing as quiet. Implicit in dissonance is the notion that there's such a thing as resonance. Contrast is showing us something else. Whenever I have a no emerge for me in this circle, even if I'm not able to articulate the yes yet, I'm being directed to it. Does that make sense? And so last time I was here, I was talking about diving into starting to identify truth in your life and starting a new conversation with your life. And we're going to build on that today. We're going to kind of deepen that today. I'd like to start, though, by doing an exercise. And Ash and I were talking about this yesterday. You may have noticed we did not do a full-on meditation. Welcome to your meditation. We're going to do a little exercise, and I'm going to ask your permission to do this with you. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take you on a little bit of a journey, a little guided visualization, if you will. And I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm going to have you close your eyes, and that's just to reduce distractions. I'm going to have you ask some questions in your own head. Yes, this part of it is definitely all in your head. You will not be called upon later. You're not demanded to share whatever happens. Nobody's going to come around and mess with you. So this is just an opportunity for you to process through some thoughts and some questions in your own head. So with that, I'm going to have you go ahead and close your eyes and take a deep breath. And of course, we take that deep breath mostly just to center us in, to kind of open us up a little bit. If you need to wiggle around your chair a little bit, feel free to do that, just to kind of get yourself comfortable. the only moment there is. There's nowhere to be. There's nothing to do. I want you to imagine you've been given a gift. And as you open that gift, you open the box, you find there's a bottle in it. And that bottle, interestingly enough, is labeled truth serum. And as it turns out, this is the most powerful truth serum ever created. It is so powerful that not only can you not withhold truth from others, you can't even lie to yourself when you take this, which is why it's such a gift. Think of it as Wonder Woman's lasso in a bottle. And I want you to unscrew the top of that truth serum. I want you to go ahead and swallow it down. And as you swallow it, it tastes like your favorite beverage, and it warms you from the inside. And you can kind of feel it spreading through your blood, throughout your body, calling you to even deeper breaths. And as that truth serum starts to joyfully take hold, I'm going to ask you a few questions. I want you to imagine that we're done here today, and it's time to continue on with your day, and it's time to get some lunch. I want you to imagine as you get out to your vehicle, there's a note for you on your seat, and that note is a coupon for any food you could possibly want, of any kind, anywhere. This coupon entitles you to any food you would like for lunch. It is yours. What food do you want? And imagine walking into the place where that food is served. Imagine the bells on the door. Imagine the smells in the air. Imagine the taste of that food as you bite into it. How does it feel to imagine having that food? Where does it live in your mind? Where does it live in your body? To think about, yes, that's the food I want. And you finish lunch and you're coming out of lunch and your phone rings, and even though you don't recognize the number for some reason, you still answer it. And lo and behold, it's Oprah. And Oprah's got a gift for you. No, it's not a car. Oprah says, I have decided to send you on a trip anywhere you want to go. Anywhere at all. All expenses paid. I got everything covered on the home front. Any place you would like to go, anywhere, I'm going to send you. Where would you like to go? Imagine how it feels to scroll through the places you might have on your mind and land on one. Imagine what it feels like to walk those streets of that place, or to see the people you know will be there, or to taste the taste in the restaurants, or the sights that you're going to see, whatever your place is. How does it feel to declare that you want that place, that that's where you want to go? Where does it live in your breathing, in your mind, either in your body? And finally, you return from that trip. And it's whenever you wanted to return. You return from that trip, and it's that first night back in your own bed. And you lay down in your bed, and you're so glad to be in your own bed again. And just as you're about to drift off to sleep, lo and behold, a light appears, and the universe herself says, I am going to grant you a wish. With whatever time you have left on this planet, with however many heartbeats you're granted, what is a purpose that you want to see fulfilled? What is a journey you want to take in your life? Be that a creative thing, or healing a relationship, or an activism project, a kind of impact. What is something that before your time is up, you'd like to know happen? I'm going to make that a reality. You need only declare it. What would you like to do? And as you declare that to the universe, where does that live? In your breathing, in your heartbeat, in your mind, in your posture. And as that truth serum starts to make its way from your blood to settle into your bones, because it's going to linger just long enough to keep you a little more honest going forward. I want you to take another deep breath. We're going to kind of bring ourselves back to this room and this time, and as you're ready, we're going to go ahead and open your eyes. Thank you for playing with me. See, truth is interesting, I think. I think truth has a cadence, it has a shape, it has a size, it lives in us in different ways. For me, as I talked about last time, when I land on something that's true, there's a lift for me. There is this internal sense, well, I don't know what I want to eat. Oh, you know what? Meatloaf. You know, it's suddenly I don't know, meatloaf. I don't know why I went with meatloaf, but there you go. But suddenly there's like almost literally like I'm standing up a little bit taller. It's a different kind of breathing. When I say, oh, I don't know where I'd like to go. Oh my God, Positano. If I could be walking the streets of Positano right now, that would be amazing. And there's this confidence. Like it's this sort of solidity that almost arises in me if I'm paying attention. If I'm not stepping outside of my circle and trying to figure out what you want for dinner, and so I should ask to tell you that. I should say what you want. If I'm focused on what's really true for me, what's going to elevate the conversation for us both, there's this confidence, there's this lift that happens. Years ago, about a decade ago, back in New Orleans, where I say I'm from, I lived there for 18 years. I was going through coaching with an amazing coach down there. And if you're not familiar with life coaching, outside of the fact that everybody calls themselves a life coach, the life coaching at its core looks a lot like therapy. It's conversationally based. And the difference between coaching, in my humble opinion, is coaching and therapy. I love both. Therapy tends to be more about the whys and the origins, and the coaching tends to be more about the hows and the what next. And I was in these sessions, I've been in sessions for quite a while, with my coach. Her name's Charlie. And she's a brilliant coach. And I've been working with her for a while. The principal question I came to her with was, I gotta save my marriage. My marriage is in trouble. And there were some central issues, central questions that I wasn't willing to stand on my own truth around, that I needed to get dug into, I needed to explore. And at some point during our process, Charlie said, all right, Brian, today I need you to do me a favor. I want you to try something. And I said, yes, ma'am, what do you need me to do? She said, I need you to imagine, and I'm sitting on this love seat, she said, I need you to imagine that God is sitting across from you in this chair. That God is sitting in this chair, and I think it's time. I want you to ask God your question. And so I took a deep breath, much like you did just a moment ago, and I asked God my question, and I wept mightily. And when I had regained my composure enough to speak, Charlie very gently and kindly said, okay, what just happened there? And I said that I asked my question, and God said without hesitation, I keep giving you the answer, you just don't like it. I keep giving you the answer, you just don't like it. Truth expresses itself in us, sometimes tearfully, sometimes joyfully, but in small ways and large, truth is offering us the opportunity to have a new conversation with our life, a new conversation with our God, and to show up to our lives in a bigger and better way. Is it all in my head? That's the theme. Spoiler alert, yes. Yes, it is. It's all in your head. And I know you're doing a theme this month on science and religion. I'm going to dabble in that too, because apparently I think I have 9 hours to work with. No, but I want to bring science and religion as we talk about this truth and deepening our experience of truth in our lives. Around that same time as I had that session with Charlie, I had this conversation with a relative of mine, and this relative of mine is super important to me. He's the guy who, when I was a kid, was my playmate, would take me and spin donuts in the parking lot and do all kind of goofy, crazy things with this guy when I was younger. And as I grew, he became mentor and friend and an icon in my world, really. And we were having this conversation about a decade ago, around about Christmas Eve. up in Rochester, New York. We went for a walk to walk his dog. It's snowing and there's snow on the ground, and for a boy from the South, it was all very exciting. And we're going for this walk, and you know, sometimes you stumble into a deep conversation and you kind of miss it till after because you're busy. And then sometimes you actually see, you're like, hold on, we're getting real. Well, this is one of those, oh, I see it. We're getting real. And my relative's a man of science, and I know that about him. And he's somebody who self-identifies as a non-believer, and I know that about him. And he says, Brian, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah, of course. He says, do you believe in God? And I said, yes. Without skipping a beat, yes, absolutely. I mean, I was raised Catholic. That's no longer my doctrine. And I've explored a lot of different faiths along the way, or dogmas. Never found one that really resonates, really hits the spot. But yes, I believe in God. I have a relationship with God on a good day. And he said, well, how do you know? Right? Because that's always the next question. How do you know? And I just said, I know. I just know. And he said, well, what proof do you have? And I'm thinking, I mean, besides sunsets, sunrises, holding hands, kissing, making love, dancing, writing, speaking, walking, positano, meatloaf. Besides a million upon a million things, I have no proof that there's a God. But I didn't say that. What I said was, I don't have any proof. But who cares? Like, who cares? If it works for me, is that really the point of religion, or is it about something else? I'm completely okay with the notion that it may prove to be that God is a psychological construct in my brain. Who cares? Is that really the point of God or not? And by the way, science, big fan. I'm a big fan of science. Love science. I'm a double-blind study guy. In fact, I've been blessed to sit on the editorial board of a Conscious Life journal, which is sort of Aquarius meets Oprah and book club kind of vibes what we do. And I'm pretty sure, it's not official, but I'm pretty sure my role in that room is I'm perpetually the guy going, hold up, this is too woo-woo. This is not, where's the science? Where's the practical? Where's the rubber meets the road? I find it poetic and slightly ironic that where I most make sense in terms of what I do craft-wise is in spaces like this and in stores like this, and I'm the guy going, hold on. Where's the science? So I love science. But if we look at the process of science, I think you're going to find something interesting. I think you may see some parallels to some other processes. When I look at science from a 30,000 foot level, how does it work? A scientist goes, I have a question. I have something I'm curious about that I'd like to know how it works. So they develop some kind of research method, some kind of experiment with which to gather information. They then take that information, they look at that information, and they go, oh, this is what's true, even if it's different than the last time. And having established that truth, then they are open to new questions and to exploring new truths. So what they basically do is they come with a question. They offer that question up. They wait for guidance around that question. When that guidance arrives, it exposes a new truth. They then take that new truth to ask new questions. My hands are here to subtly say that's the same as praying. And that truth is allowed to evolve. What we knew about science 100 years ago is not what we know now. Eggs used to be bad for me. Eggs are now good for me. Don't tell me when they were bad for me again. I don't want to know. And what about science? I mean, since it's always changing, since it's not really tangible, since it always has the potential of being disproven later on, is it real? Does that matter? Is the value of science or God in the fact of it or the function? I think it's in the function. I think the value of both science and God in my life is in the function. And I think that fundamentally, at their core, science and religion are doing the same thing. At their core, science and religion are about deepening. They're about deepening my understanding of my life, of my world, of how things work, of how they can work better. They're both about deepening my sense, my connection of who I am, so that I can feel more of the truest me. So I spend less time out here. Both science and religion direct me back to what I know to be true. So I don't care which camp you fall in or what you call it. I care how you live into it. With, as Mary Oliver puts it, your one wild and precious life. That's what I care about. And all of this takes practice. All of this takes practice. That's how it's done. I saw Andy Stanley is the founder and pastor up at North Point Community Church, which is more accurately referred to as North Point City. He has done a spectacular job up there. Well, the ideology is not my ideology. He's a fantastic orator and does an amazing job of bringing messages into a universal space. And one time I was seeing him speak, it's an odd phrase, Brian. He was speaking, and he said, evangelicals, of which I are one. You know, he's got this sort of folksy George W. Bush kind of thing he does with his cadence, and I love it. And he says, evangelicals, of which I are one, we're doing it wrong. We keep judging people for exhibiting behaviors they never agreed not to. We keep judging people for not playing by rules they never agreed to play by in the first place. Your job is not to judge. Your job is to attract. Your job is to be attractional. Your job is to stay in your truth, in your values, and live them so ferociously, so passionately, deepen them, grow in them, so radiantly that maybe, just maybe, at some point at your book club or your workstation or what have you, somebody will come up and go, Pamela, can I bother you for a minute? I'm sorry. You are lit up. Where does that come from? And then and only then are you in a position to say, well, you know, I've been eating better and getting more sleep and exercising. But really, the thing is, for me, it's God. That's where it comes from. That's where it's about my journey in that place. Your job is to be attractional. It takes practice living into your truth. It takes practice. We even have a name for that in certain religious communities. For instance, if you are a Catholic, you are either a lapsed Catholic or a practicing Catholic. Practicing. So what are we practicing? We are practicing cultivating a different relationship with this truth. That's what we're practicing. Last time we talked about how to hear that truth. What I'm talking about now is about how to make yourself an even better listener. True listening is the willingness to be changed. True listening is the willingness to be changed. True listening, true faith, true science, they are all about being willing to be changed. Think about the process again. Bring a question of which you have I need this changed. I need this fixed. Allow new information to come in to inform that question. Listen for the answer. Allow your truth to be shifted. Ask your question. Be willing to hear God say, I'm giving you the answer, you just don't like it. True listening is the willingness to be changed. And what we're talking about when we're talking about practicing is we're talking about practicing cultivating that deeper relationship with our faith. There's a movie years ago called Phenomenon with John Travolta and Keira Sedgwick. And in the movie, Travolta his character is this everyman guy who goes from sort of being an everyman to suddenly coming into a vast amount of knowledge, which they explore throughout the movie. And as a result, he is being held up in every conceivable circle. He's being seen as both guru and scholar. And one day, in this one scene, he's up on this hillside with these two children who are the children of this woman he's in love with, and Sheryl Crow music is playing in the background, and it's this lovely scene. And the kids are frolicking in the field, and they're playing with the flowers, and they're sniffing the flowers, and they're picking the flowers. And Travolta starts going, oh, well, you know, that's the hibiscus medimidus, and that's the Dandelidius indigenus, and that's the rosibus medimidus. And he starts, those are actual scientific names, by the way. And he starts naming all the scientific names of the flowers until finally he looks up and the kids are looking at him like, butter? And he says, no, you're right. Knowing what they're called doesn't make them any prettier. You're right about that. But I think it's an interesting moment in identifying how science and religion play a role in this circle. Religion calls me to, bless you, religion calls me to the truth of awe. Religion calls me to be aware and to honor and to see and to embrace those things that cannot be articulated, that cannot be explained, that you just feel and hear. Religion calls me to awe. And science calls me to how do I cultivate the best things in my life? How do I cultivate that which I want to grow? And how do I starve out that which I don't want to grow, that does not serve me? They're both serving the same function. They're both serving or giving an opportunity for deepening our understanding of ourselves and of our world, so that we can live more of ourselves in our world while we're here. We get to feel more of who we are. We get to deepen our experience of who we are. And I don't care which camp you fall into. I care how you live into that reality. How you create space in your life for noise to emerge, to direct you to quiet, for dissonance to direct you to resonance, to ask the big questions so that you can be provided new answers that then give you new questions. Because that's the point. That's the deepening. There's this amazing scene at the end of the Harry Potter, or near the end of the Harry Potter Chronicles. And if you haven't read Harry Potter, that's okay. But when you do, you're welcome. You're going to have so much fun when you finally dive into that. I don't know why you're welcome. I didn't write them. But in any event, Harry's having a conversation with Albus Dumbledore, Professor Dumbledore. And if you don't know the Chronicles, Dumbledore is to the Harry Potter series as Aslan was to Narnia, as, for that matter, as the Dalai Lama is to Buddhism. He's the iconic figure. And he and Harry are having this conversation with remarkable parity. I mean, he's really treating him as an equal in this conversation. And Harry says, tell me one last thing. Is this real? Or has this been happening inside my head? And Dumbledore replies, in my mind, ruefully. He says, well, of course it's happening inside of your head, Harry. But why on earth should that mean it's not real? Why on earth should that mean it's not real? Science and religion are not in conflict. No. It is all in your head. Yes. Your whole world, your whole experience of everybody in your life, including everybody in this room in this moment, is in your head. And the opportunity we are called to is to deepen our relationship with truth so that the radiant being we bring into room after room is true, is living that truth. And what it takes is practice, and what it takes is being willing to listen in a way that demonstrates a willingness to change. Asha, is it okay to do this now, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
All right. I love that scene in Harry Potter. I remember when I heard, but my first experience with Harry Potter was the audiobooks, because I was touring full time at the time. So I would listen to them over and over again, and I don't know if you can hear me yet, but Jim Dale, who does the audio version of those, he is amazing. But I remember the first time I heard him say that, well, of course it's inside your head, but why on earth should that mean it's not real? I'm like, yes, that. Well, as I want to do, I'm going to leave you with a song. This is one I've done here before, and the reason I'm doing it again today is A, it's applicable, but B, it's on this. This new CD of mine is called After All, and it's actually not available until the 12th, until Tuesday, but we have it here today. And it pairs excellently with this book. Which has a nice bouquet. So I hope you'll check it out out in the store after we're done. This is a song called Sweeter. So yeah, it's all in your head. And that's great news. What they don't tell you is you won't know you year over year. No matter what you do, life carves anew you year over year. And that's the good news, the surest sign that you've still got work to do with your breath. So go out into the world, find a boy, find a girl, be a saint, be a sin, find a dream and go all in, fall in love and get burned, go get lost and you learn. It just gets sweeter, just gets sweeter. It's what they don't tell you. That's what they don't tell you, no. Don't miss your good life while you build your good life year over year. Moments come and never stay, they gently knock and slip away year over year. And that's the good news, it's the surest sign that you've still got work to do with your breath. So go out into the world, find a boy, find a girl, be a saint, be a sin, find a dream and go all in, fall in love and get burned, go get lost and you learn. It just gets sweeter, just makes it sweeter. It's what they won't tell you. That's what they don't tell you. Step free of thinking that it's your mission to make your way through your days without pain. There will be bleeding, laughing and reaching. Fill every line and every scar with memories, and go out into the world. Find a boy, find a girl, be a saint, be a sin. Find a dream and go all in, fall in love and get burned, or go get lost and you will learn. It just gets sweeter, just makes it sweeter. So go out into the world, find a boy, find a girl, be a saint, be a sin, find a dream and go all in and fall in love and get burned, or go get lost. That's how you learn. It just gets sweeter, just makes it sweeter. It's what they don't tell you. That's what they don't tell you. Just gets sweeter. It just gets sweeter.